Hello, this is Sia with Black Petal Gardening, and we just finished doing a kind of cleanup of one of our green stalks, the strawberry and bean tower, where I have cleared out all of the bean plants, clipping them so that their roots stay in the soil, so that that nitrogen fixing aspect of beans can hopefully be utilized. And we found a little bit of a surprise as we were looking through some of the strawberry plants too. So be sure to check that video out to see what we came across. And yeah, it was certainly unexpected. Nothing terrible, I hope, but we'll see. So what are we doing here? We are doing bean harvest continued. These are the bean plants that I planted with the intention of having a nice crop of beans through the fall. If you've watched some of our other videos, you know that at least some of the plantings were pretty successful. Some of them were so-so, and one was absolutely terrible. Here we have the jade bush bean plant, and as we can see, we've got some nice bean growth. And I'm trying to be very careful with these plants. I think it's pretty obvious how to harvest them, but just in case, I am supporting the bean with my hand and then using my thumb to clip it right where the stem goes to meet the main part of the plant. I know that, in general, you could probably do a harsher rip, but then you could potentially damage the plant itself. And I want to avoid doing that. I want these to continue to grow and provide me with as many beautiful beans as possible. Now, the main reason why I did plant these was I wanted to have enough beans. Oh, look at that beauty. I think I've probably left it to grow a little too long, but I wanted enough beans so I could do my grandpa's hot dill bean recipe. Last year, unfortunately, I wasn't able to do much with the beans that I had actually grown because I couldn't find any fresh dill at the time that they were available. And so that was a little disappointing. I did end up trying it with tarragon, which when I looked online was put out as a potential substitute option. I did not have the courage to actually try those to see how they taste instead. I took them to a party my mom was having. I left the jar there for people to try. I'll be honest, I don't think I've asked anybody to see if they tried it and what they thought. So, um, so yeah, I believe tarragon has kind of a licorice flavor to it, which I guess is maybe translates somehow to be like somewhere in the realm of similar to dill. I can't imagine how, and I am not a fan at all of a black licorice. That stuff is disgusting. So yeah. You might be able, in the background, it's kind of loud because we do live in an urban setting and we're pretty close to a fairly busy thoroughfare. Pretty busy highway, and the birds. Now that's good background noises. The birds are definitely having a field day on this beautiful Saturday. But in the wee background, you might be able to hear my neighbor, who likes to play his banjo. on nice days, and he does very well, so I don't worry. Now look at this. What a beautiful, lush bunch of bean plants. Now these are the Royal Burgundy. This one probably had the best germination. If you remember, or if you saw the video when we planted these, what I did was I planted 2 beans per hole, 7 beans or 7 holes total in each of the pots. Now that said, these plants are incredibly lush, but looking through here, I am not seeing a lot of actual bean production. Here's one. I have grabbed 1 to 2 beans previous to this, as I was walking by and I saw it, and I was in the garden, so I ate it. But that said, as beautiful as these plants are, I'm not seeing a lot in the way of harvestable fruits. So I don't know. I may need to do some kind of fertilizing, because I'll be honest, most of what I've done here is just watering. And I've actually kind of stopped watering because this week has just been very rainy. And so no real need for me to continue to water in that situation. So maybe I need to do something that has, like additional potassium and phosphorus to potentially help with the fruit situation. Okay, let's pull this guy over. This one is decently lush too, but definitely, oops, there's a weed. Definitely didn't have the germination success that the other 2 plants did. There's another weed. As is that. I'll have to pick those weeds up later, throw them out. Now this one, ooh. Oh, I hate that sound. That's the sound of me breaking stuff. Yeah, this one is the Provider. So, Provider, okay. It was an okay option. As you can see, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plants out of 14 seeds that were sown. Only 5 plants actually germinated and made it to a maturity level that's providing us with some beans. But at the same time, you could look at it and say, well, you got, 1 billion plants on your Royal Burgundy and you have 0 beans. So which one's the better option? Kind of hard to say. And again, these have had essentially the same handling, same amount of water, same lack of fertilizing. So, it's definitely been a better option than the Royal Burgundy as far as bean production so far. The Jade, however, is right up there. I think I'm gonna leave that too. Kind of pump up a little bit more. Okay, so not doing too badly with this particular one, despite the smaller plant number. Oh, there's a bean. Let's get that one. All right. And that may actually be a good call out There's fewer plants in here, and though they are a nitrogen fixer, they obviously are going to use some nutrients, so maybe that is why I'm seeing the beans that are harvestable here, because there's fewer plants competing for nutrients, whereas with the Royal Burgundy, there's a ton of plants in there, and maybe there just isn't enough nutrients to support getting getting bean production. So I am definitely going to have to do some kind of fertilizing, at least on that plant. I'll probably do it on all of them, because if that helps boost production on all of these, all the better. Okay, now I'm gonna pop you up, or actually I don't need to. You can see right there, that pot, though that pot had contender beans in it. And I did the same thing that I did here, 7 holes, 2 beans per hole, nothing germinated. So I did a second round. So we're in 28 beans now on that pot. I got 2 things to germinate, and they did not survive. Nothing different for that pot versus these, nothing significant. The way I handled them, all the same. So to me, because those 2 plants didn't survive further than getting about this tall, I consider that a 100% failure. And I'll be honest, I've had some contender beans previously that I put into the green stalks earlier this spring. None of them came up. So I don't know if it, initially I was thinking, okay, those beans were old, so maybe that had something to do with it. But the fact of the matter is, I purchased these beans this year, not long before I actually planted them, and I keep looking at this. Maybe I will harvest it. And so the age of the beans shouldn't have been an issue. Something about contender beans just apparently do not like living at our house, because I have had absolutely zero success with them. Tons of people seem to love them, does great for them. I don't know what I'm doing wrong or what the difference is, but I cannot recommend them at all, because I have had zero success. The rest of these, very, very nice. Now we're gonna pop on over to our raised bed and go check out the Dulcina beans and see if we have anything to harvest from them. Okay, so we are back over here at the raised bed. If you're not familiar with our channel, first of all, welcome. Obviously, if you've been here before, welcome back. Love having you. This is the first raised bed that we put together, that we filled completely, and that we planted. Earlier this spring, we had onions in here, as well as peas over in this area where we now have our daikon radishes and some flowers. Okay, so as you can see, this is our winter crop, or fall winter crop of carrots, which seem to be doing very well. And then these are our Dulcina bean plants, and they actually are looking pretty darn good to me. I'm gonna move this little bucket over because it's clearly in the way. And actually, I think I'm going to try and pan out a little bit. So, this is actually kind of a little hard to see because of A, where the sun is, and B, the shading that this pumpkin on a stick plant right here is giving. And I have to be careful because these have some wicked thorns on them. And I am not in the market to be getting stabbed. All right, so I don't know if you'll be able to see me harvesting very well. So you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna pop you out of here. Sorry, I know, technical difficulties. so that you can hopefully kind of see what we're looking at as far as growth. And then I'm going to go through, I'm going to do some harvesting, and we'll come back and see what the results were. Okay, everyone. So if I'm remembering correctly, the number of plants that I planted here is about the same as in those in the containers. I did a row of 7, or well, 2 rows of 7, and each one I put 2 bean plants in. Not all of them came up, but we definitely had really good germination. And here's the harvest result from there. Some of these I did pick a little too early, a little too tender, but yeah, I'm not mad at the results. These were actually planted, oh gosh, maybe even a full month. I was going to say 2 weeks, but maybe it was even a full month after I planted the ones in the container. So they have had some wonderful growth. They're very healthy. I think it has helped that we took the enormous, it was supposed to be a dwarf sunflower, but at least for being in our raised bed, it was enormous. Taking that out because the shade that it provided, I don't know if our other plants were getting as much of the sun that they might have needed. But suffice to say, these Dulcina, very, very happy with how they're doing so far. The plants are a little bit more delicate, it feels like, than some of our other bean plants, but I've found that bean plants just in general have a delicacy to them. So you have to be kind of careful when you're rummaging around so you don't accidentally break things off. So all in all, this is our bean harvest. This is the Dulcina, the Jade, the Provider, the Contender. I always get those two mixed up. There's also some from our green stock where we took all of the remaining plants out. I don't know what that is. Is that like a hairs from some kind of spider? Weird. Well, they're gonna get washed anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So there's a little bit of that in here too. I'm gonna say we probably have enough here to do at least 1 jar of hot dilled beans, maybe 2. It will depend on if we decide to do a quart jar or pints, I think. I also have some of our Mexican sour gherkin or cucamelons that I've been saving up, and I want to pickle those. I'm still hemming and hawing on whether I just want to do a straight pickle or if I want to do the hot dilled, well, these would be hot dilled cucamelons route or not. I may go that way so that, it makes the process of doing these a little bit less intensive for a small batch, but I have absolutely no problems with doing small batch pickling. I actually kind of prefer it sometimes, again, because my back gives me some trouble when I am bending over or standing for long periods of time. So just a quick little sauce pot on the stove and getting, just enough for 2, 3, 4 pints worth of whatever I'm pickling, nice and easy peasy. And it tends to work out really well. So I think that's going to be it. I am actually going to go and check on our cucamelons, see if there are any more that are still available. I have enough for 1 pint, but there's still going to be a little bit of extra room in there. So I want to fill that up. We did manage to get 2 cucumbers from the Space Saver 80, I think it's called, cucumber plant that we planted in the green stock. we only harvested 3 total. So I don't know if that's something that I did wrong, or if it was something about this year, maybe a combination of the two. So we didn't really get much in the way of fruiting on that particular plant. But I do have 2 small ones, so I could augment, either of these things if I need to fill stuff in. But on that note, I'm going to end this here. Thank you so much for watching. As always, if you have any feedback, suggestions, or ideas, drop them below. We'd absolutely love to get a like and even a subscribe if you're finding what we're doing interesting. And I hope to have you guys see what we're doing in the future. All right, take care of yourselves. Bye bye.